The following is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Yo, what's up, Deadites? I know it's been a while, but today I'd like to welcome you to a tale that takes place in the Omega universe. However, Omega itself isn't at the point of a proper spit-off. So instead of that, let's just start you off at a specific point in time. But before I let the MC take you away, I'll state in advance that we're around 5 years after Jasper's death and almost a decade before Shakti's awakening. Welcome to Metro City. And this was once the home of a brilliant programmer named Jasper. However, we all know we ain't here for Jasper. We're here for Damien Santana, a brilliant young man and aspiring engineering student. However, school isn't his only problem. He also pulls his weight at his family's on a body shop. Damien always had a thing for fixing things, be it electronic or mechanical. He found great joy in breaking down a machine to see how it ticks. Damien is a rather good young man who, at the firm age of 22, is graduated summa cum laude. How do I know him? Well, I'm Damien. Let me be clear. Anyone who thinks I've gotten a job straight out of college just for graduating the way I did is sorely mistaken. Life ain't that easy. I've been working with my family, and yes, I have been applying for jobs, and at least I think I'm doing well in the interviews. But every time I get up there with a statement, "We're sorry, Mr. Santana, the position has been filled," I didn't let that get me down and kept on keeping. However, this time I'm certain some rich kid got the job. Sad part is, it's the same story when they see my credentials and another when they see the background connected to. The case of no good deed goes unpunished. Some white girl got on a bus without her purse. I grabbed the thing and booked it after said bus, but I think you can guess what happened when a young black man was seen running while holding onto a purse, right? Cops caught me and threw the book at me. No one believed that I was being a good Samaritan and got thrown in jail. Thankfully, I had a good lawyer who gave a damn about it. And she got me off by getting her hands on some footage a vlogger got when I was screaming at the bus to stop so I could hand off said purse. Imagine my surprise when something that should have been stricken from my record was in fact not. I got to have a hard call with a certain department and even filed a lawsuit and won. That was some good luck on my part for once. I'm seeing a pattern and I'm not sure I like the possible ending. So here I am, a year after still working at my family shop, even though I don't need to at this point. I've made major bank with the case, but I didn't let it get to my head. I invested in my favorite game, Valhalla, and gave a fair amount to charities while also doing help for my community. Like I said, I'm a good guy with horrible luck. I hear my phone ring from the office and I go to answer it. Hello, Mr. Santana. This is Nadala Ebba. Are you familiar with that name? The second I heard that name and voice, I call BS. And she activates a video call. Holy crap, it's legit. Yes, ma'am. I know who you are. I've logged a lot of time in Valhalla. So, I assume this is about my application? Nadala smiles and confirms that this is the case. I'll be working in their hardware design team as of next week. Finally, a good event without a bad one. A dinner with the team tonight at Diamond in the Rough at 6? Nadala may have said that as a question, but I've heard that tone of voice before. That was a statement. Yes, ma'am. I've just got to give this guy his car and I'll get ready. I didn't cut the call as I walked to the car and started it, only to go out in glorious flame. Nadala's face had a look of utter horror as she witnessed my final moments and no doubt called the cops. The afterlife. I find myself in an anteroom room and immediately know I'm dead. This must be some transitional area for soul processing or some such. For me stood a being of beauty so incredible that I could only call her an angel. However, I noticed she was looking rather stressed, as if she was being run ragged, as made evident by the aroma of potent coffee. Well, you ain't far off, dear. Name's Gabrielle, and welcome to the afterlife. You see, we have a bit of a problem here, mijo. You were not meant to die today. So let me ask, whose shift did you pick? And that's when it hit me like a bus. My idiot cousin had begged me to take over for a shift, and I said yes. He must have angered someone in some kind of gang somewhere. Then another wave of clarity hit me. I wasn't the only one in that explosion, was I? How many others lost their lives? Gabriella opened her mouth that had a bit of a grin. Good question, and that is why you are being rewarded with a... There is one catch that I'm certain you'll probably already know if you keep up with these animate friends. I can't send you back to Earth. However, there is a world similar to that game you like to play. I've checked your play history and you're in luck. A celestial estate to be born, and as to balance it out, we need an inferno. In this world, when a powerful celestial is born, so too is a powerful inferno. Your character was a high-level tiefling, wasn't it? You seem to be a fan of infernals. So, that works for your case. Because one such being is about to be born as well, for that stated reason. Any questions? I opened my mouth and said the first thing that was on my mind. Are all angels as glorious as you, senorita? No, I can't. Are all angels as gorgeous as you are? She spat out her coffee, and I clamped my mouth shut. You're telling me that I, of all people, am what does it for you? Really? She snaps her fingers, and my vision fades for a moment, but I hear the distinct sounds of clothes hitting the floor. When my vision returns, a naked winged Latina goddess was on top of me on the bed, and I think you can guess what happened after that. I lost track of time. In fact, I didn't even care how much time went by as Gabby and I spent time intimately getting to know each other. A part of me wanted to spend forever here, but I knew that wasn't possible. My soul had been processed according to Gabby, but when I got to thinking, Gabby, which character exactly am I going as? That got a chuckle out of my angelic girlfriend. One might think I'm going a bit fast, but apparently I had spent almost a year with her alone. She would, of course, leave from time to time to do her work, but would always come back, a tired mess, and I'd have the usual items ready for her. But I suppose it's time to end our pseudo-married life soon. Gabby sighed and handed me a tablet. Oh dear, this will be fun. So, do I get any bonuses? Gabby sighs again. I can't really explain that system. A lot of gods use it since it's functional and highly practical for worlds like that. But it was never really my thing. However, I talked to the higher-ups. They said you could take one thing of your choice with you, and it would be there when your consciousness awakens. So, what wondrous item am I gifting you before I never see you again, mi vida? That's when I went full Konosuba, grabbed Gabby, kissed her passionately, and said, "You please." Gabriella cried tears of happiness. As you wish, young hero, but to go well with an infernal, they'll need to make me into a fallen, meaning the white wings you love so much might be gray or jet black by the time we meet again, so I shall go confer with Brass, but you've got places to be. Sorry.
Meanwhile, in the Transmigrational Logistics Division, from Gabby's perspective in heaven.
Eek! He actually requested me. Yes! I never thought I'd get to see him again after he left, but I'll be having a wonderful adventure with my love. I was absolutely brimming with love and energy, and I'm certain others could tell. Ever since I started my relationship with Damien, I had warmth that added some degree of comfort to the wayward souls I'd helped through the process. My rise in efficiency and popularity also came with certain benefits, allowing me to enhance my living quarters, which both of us enjoyed. Some might think it immoral for an angel and a human to be together, but it's called an immortal soul for a reason. He wasn't quite human in that form, after all, but I digress. I find myself at my boss's door. This used to be another angel's department, but she got bumped up to goddess in the world I'll be heading to with my darling Damien.
You may enter, Gabriella.
As I walk into Corvin's office, I feel slightly overwhelmed. The last owner of this station made you feel safe and welcome, like a loving mother. Corvin, on the other hand, has a overprotective dad vibe. And right now, I feel like I'm taking his daughter to prom.
You needn't worry, child. Your lover, as expected, requested you. I assume you would like to join him as soon as possible, Gabriella?
I nodded my head vigorously. Corvin sighed.
It's a shame to see one as capable as you leave our heavenly realm, but it is what your heart truly desires. As you have stated to Damien, for this pairing, we can't really have a prim and proper angel with an infernal such as... Oh dear. Did you read the sheet completely? Corbin's question confused me. Of course I read his sheet. It pertains to my darling Damien's fate. He sees the outrage and confusion in my face and hands me the tablet. A new paragraph that wasn't there before, but now contains information on his infernal ancestor and parents. Oh dear.
Meanwhile, at Rootcore Castle, Rootcore, Tezia Kingdom, in the realm of Val, King Alphys, a high elf of roughly 500 years, has a stern face and strong build. Even through his kingly robe, his muscles are as clear as day. He is quite tall, at about 6 foot 2 inches, and possesses hair and eyes as red as fire. Now, since he's a high elf, his eyes are a singular color. One and a singular color only. It was an average day like any other. Nothing in particular. Unfortunately, that day, he was holding court, so it was spent hearing the requests of hoity-toity nobles, some of which were just plain old ridiculous, while some actually had merit, such as a baroness of a new territory requesting aid in dealing with most of that land. Baroness Josatra Wathana was deemed a wasteland. For what little crops it yielded were barely enough to keep the people going. The land itself is important as a border for the Great Forest. One would think that land that is merely a week's trek away from a world tree would be full of life. One would be wrong. That area is cursed, and the only honor in having that land is guarding one route to said world tree. I will send you what I can, Baroness, and no more. I try not to smile at her.
You show me such kindness, Leech.
As we stare into each other's eyes, me from on high and her from below, our moment is interrupted as a maid comes crashing into the courtroom.
My king, the queen has blessed you with a child.
I interrupted her. So, what is his name now? Even the Baroness's eyebrow was raised as if asking the same question. My queen, Alara, even my second wife, Yana, have given me nothing but boys, which would cause its own problems. I don't need an heir, I need a daughter. I need a daughter to raise the morale of the people and act as a much-needed beacon of hope and symbol of unity with the Force. I, the king, have yet to have a daughter that can serve as a maiden of the forest. And as such, the great tree of life, Ymir, is angry indeed. Part of the reason why the region Josatra is in is a bad one, or at least one of them. A boon from the tree would be a much needed for bettering the area that had once been beset by an awful plague and famine. The maid had a smirk on her face.
But, my liege, Lady Honori is female. It's my honor to be her personal maid from this day forward.
The maid who gave me such joyous news. But I was flabbergasted at her appearance. I don't recall employing such a beauty. I stare at trying to trace her lineage. While possessing elven features, while also possessing the features of a southern race. A half-elf, or one was possibly in her bloodline. The tone of her skin and color of her hair was a clear indicator of that. Not many people in the north have black hair and skin of a creamy light bronze, which at no point indicated tanning. Yeah, Deadman here. I was struggling for a while on how to describe this woman in a fantasy setting, and you'll figure that out in a minute. She had piercing green eyes, stood roughly at about 5 feet and 3 inches, and appeared slim yet oddly firm. This woman appears to have a good build to her. I wonder what martial art she partakes in. However, my eyes were caught at her breast.
Well, it is not my place to speak above my station. Would His Excellency not wish to see his baby girl? If you would like, I can teleport us there, post haste.
Both I and Jasatra stared at the maid in amazement. A maid capable of such magic. Why in the world is she merely a maid? I give her a nod, and we are transported to the nursery, which would have been a very lengthy walk otherwise. Even if she is only capable of short-range teleportation, it is still quite a feat. My third son, Virden, stood next to the boy.
Welcome, Father. Mother Alara has given birth to a beautiful young lady. I gave her the name Inoi, for she is the answer to our prayers. Now, Father, I must warn you not to be alarmed when you see your delightfully darling daughter.
Why did he alliterate? Virden, being a doctor, was the only male allowed during the birthing, and thus delivered the child. The boy is quite feminine in stature, and none would be the wiser if they didn't already know. He takes more after his mother, Yana, even possessing said green hair, but having my eyes. He's rather petite, but he is my son, all the same. I personally think the gods made a mistake when they made him male, and rumor has it that he believes so as well. My impatience must have been showing, for Virden opened the door for me to enter behind him, with the maid and Jasatra at my rear. Ilar and Yana looked straight at me and ignored Jasatra. Yana is smiling at the young one. She and Alara were fast friends, and one fact that I find slightly alarming is that they love each other as much as, if not slightly more, than they love me.
Look, Inoi. Daddy is here to see you.
Ilara cannot speak words. She is mute. However, she has the gift of telepathy to make up for that. I have no doubt in my mind that she is busy talking to the babe. I hear an adorable sound of a baby calling for attention and am unable to hide my shock at what I see. The daughter that I had prayed for, held in my queen's loving embrace, had red hair like me and multicolored eyes like her mother's. The girl had a purple left eye and a red right eye. But what was truly shocking was that her green skin and what appeared to be antennae on her head. Her mouth was split like some sort of insect, and I could see, are those teeth? a newborn age, they look rather sharp. In my queen's arms is a tiefling of elvish descent, and I attempt to deny it's mine. Until it said that one word and my heart melted.
Halvis, stop standing there with your mistress dumbstruck and say hello to your daughter, dummy.
Elara's voice removed me from my stupor, and I approached her with open hands as she handed me my daughter. Well, hello there, Inoi.
Dad!
I looked to my wives for confirmation.
That was her first word. Looks like she's going to be a complete and utter daddy's girl.
Inoi makes a weird face, and I've seen it enough to know that she needs to be changed. I hand her to the maid, and she makes quick work of the deed. However, I noticed something that should not be on there. Is that a...
Relax, my love. It is merely an ovipositor. She is an insectoid tiefling from my side of the family. My mother reached out and apparently is not who she claimed to be. You might want to sit down for this.
I do as told, and Elara explains that her mother is none other than Beelzebub. Bones here. I know that D&D uses Beelzebub, but they're literally the same thing. So, let's just use Beelzebub. Imagine my shock to hear that Elara's mother, a woman that I have never met, basically ruled over one of the hells and sent a hellhound and a fallen angel to look after my daughter, her progeny. But according to Elara and Yana, she looks just like her grandmother, minus, well, the green kite. Said angel was the maid I had spent some time fawning over. I watch her kneel and pull a pitch-black feather from her now visible wings.
Hello, Princess Inoi. I am Gabriella, your loyal maid, and this is Dakota, your hound. We shall protect and serve you to the best of our abilities. I give you everything I am to you, my lady.
A sigil formed on both of their hands, and I knew that this was of the utmost importance and sacred as a rite. Even a fallen angel is still, in fact, an angel.
Cowboy!
2 names already. How intelligent is this child? Perhaps a bright future is ahead of us. 6 months later, Vierden's perspective.
It has been 6 months since Mother Elara gave birth to Inoi. I would like to say that those 6 months have been without trouble, but unfortunately, that is not the case. My elder brothers and Mother Elara's biological sons have been quite rude to dearest Inoi. They would completely ignore their sister solely for her being a tiefling and throw venomous words that she has no room to understand in her direction. It angers me, and those two think they have some claim. Well, probably that one at least thinks they have claim to the throne for being twin-born, and for the 50-year difference in our ages. The younger of the twins slowed his pace to match mine, bearing a smile on his face.
He took after Mother Lara in almost every way except for his hair, as red as crimson flames, that reached past the base of his neck and was in a series of braids woven on the top of his head, ending in a single braid past the base of his neck. His choice in fashion was a good way to differentiate the two. Usually, Lazuli is actually quite nice to be around whenever Alexander isn't around. Lazuli and I are actually quite close despite the act we keep up to deal with Alexander. Lazuli has a similar taste in fashion to me, and let us just say that when the two of us are seen together in events, both male and female ones tend to salivate. Discreetly, of course. Lazuli tends to keep his clothing choice as close to masculine as possible, while I drop all pretense and have been known to straight up wear a dress to the gala at times. I walked with Lazuli and pulled him into a nearby room, then locked the door to ensure privacy. Brother Lazuli, I am happy to see that you have returned from the West. We can speak of your adventures at a later moment. Please, tell me, what do you really think of our dear sister? I had to know his honest thoughts about Honor. While it might break my heart if he spoke ill of her, Lazuli is my closest friend and dearest brother. Please speak kindly and from the heart about her. She most certainly will need it. Lazuli says, yes. Hanoi, brother and I made our way here post-haste. I look at him with a stern glare that screams, drop it. Right. Thank you. Xander and I made our way here as quickly as we could when the news arrived, but we were busy with delegation and whatnot. Inoi is adorable, from the antennae on her head to the stubby little wings on her back, to all 4 of her little arms. Oh, before I forget, she hovered today, and the maids claims it was her first flight. There must have been a sour look on my face. Lazuli looked frightened for a moment. I missed such a crucial moment in her life. Well, that is saddening to hear, but I suppose I can't be there for Honori all the time, now can I? What did Xander have to say about Honori? I could feel the coldness in my voice as I noticed Lazuli gulp. He took a look at her with a frown. There was a small bit of a smile in his eyes, since he has a soft spot for children. But I could tell he is not a fan of Honori being a tiefling. I sighed with exasperation, then pointedly explained that we could have come out as tieflings as well, since our parents all have some form of infernal heritage in their blood. It was merely a roll of the dice. Lazuli had a look of understanding on his face. He knew we had to do something about Xander, and how he would treat our sister in the future, but that was for some time to come.
Meanwhile, in the royal nursery in Nori.
I wake up in the morning and notice I'm hungry. I already know full well that I'm an infant, so making food is not an option. I feel for my back and flutter my insectoid wings. I get a whopping 5 inches up in the air this time, and I just keep flying until that hunger grows.
Innate skill. Flight has leveled up.
Sweet. I'd ask for the level, but I know that I won't be able to comprehend it later. Just because I have enough of my intelligence back to be able to think right now doesn't mean I can comprehend forever. I figured out that since I'm a baby, it's a random roll for awareness, but for the most part, I'm here at the moment. What I can do at the moment is feel for my innate skills. It's also come to my knowledge that I have the analysis skill, but since I've got the negative modifier of newborn baby, which has a whole lot of negative modifiers in it in the first place, I can't do much of anything. I can't even use analysis for checking skills or stats yet. So I dedicated my time as a baby building up my stats and hope what I get now acts as an exponent to whatever comes later. I gently fall to the ground and the hunger begins to win. Well, guess it's time for me to use the only form of summoning magic I know. If I were still an adult, I might have felt some shame at this, but I'm not even a toddler. What use is shame for me right now? With a mighty breath of air, I let out the loudest, angriest, chirping sound I could muster, and within seconds, my wet nurse arrived. I wanted mommy, but beggars can't be choosers. Unfortunately for me, it was a few more days before my mind could process like this again. Luckily, I woke up not hungry, and I was curious about life outside the literal crib. I focus and get as high as I possibly can, and actually get out of it. As soon as I got out, however, I made eye contact with my mother and my maid. Gabby. Wait a minute. I've seen her before, and I know that name somewhere. Is she that Gabby? Well, I guess my old self did request her. Why am I so happy? Gabby! Gabby! Right, I'm a baby, so of course, I'm gonna say the name of the person I'm thinking the most. Very well, my lady. I felt myself wrapped in the warmth of Gabby's magic as it brought me closer to her very soft chest. Well, I'm not hungry right now, and I guess there's some kind of modifier stopping me from thinking about people in that kind of way anyway. But either way, I'm still happy to be where I am. Gabby is nice to me. She does still hand me over to mommy. Time for some lip service. Ma! As I shout as I'm handed to my mommy. As she walks around the nursery singing to me while dancing a bit and holding me. All the excitement made me tired, and there was no fighting it. I was out. Wonder when I'll be in proper control instead of random intervals.
If you like that, United States has smashed that like button. Let's go full cowling on the notification icon. Ring that bell, baby. And of course, don't forget, go plus ultra on the subscribe if you're not. Now rest easy, Deadites. And remember,
The night is ours.